Hey Valley Middle, welcome back to another weekly enrichment lesson. Today's lesson is definitely going to be a challenge. I had to reach back in the depths of my memory to try to remember how to do some of the stuff myself. So definitely looking at some information that is above grade level work here. I can multiply fractions and expressions and simplify the answers is our target. Once again, we're working on one of these worksheets and take a look at these problems. This one looks pretty straightforward, multiplying those two fractions together, sure. And remember that the word of means multiply. But now we got some negatives in there, yikes. We've got some brackets that they're just trying to throw at you to try to throw you off. This is still a positive times a negative. But let's go all the way down here and look at the two problems I've chosen. I chose this one here to work for you. We got some x's and some parentheses and negatives. And then over here, yikes, right? I think you can do it. Stay with me, and I think you'll actually enjoy it. Once again, the answers are over here, so you'll kind of have a good idea whether you've got the right answer or not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 answers. So there are a couple of wrong answers there, and they're probably pretty good distractors. All right, let's take a look at this one here. The first problem, we have a negative 7n over 12 times a negative 9n over 14. Now, before you freak out, if these were fractions and I took away the n's, you just multiply, correct? That's right. Remember, over here, I've thrown some things. A positive times a positive is a positive, obviously. Anytime you have one negative symbol, it's going to be negative, like, or an odd number of negative symbols, like a positive times one negative, that's going to be a negative. So negative 2 times 3 is a negative 6, and 2 times a negative 3, because there's an odd number of negative symbols. But when you have an even number, or 2 in this case, negative 2 times a negative 3, you are going to have a positive number. So when you have a negative fraction times a negative fraction, you will have a positive answer. So if you just took and multiplied 7 times 9, you'd get 63. And if you multiply 12 times 14, you'd get 168. But you also have n times n, which would give you n squared. So you really have 63n squared over 168. And I think you could simplify that. Don't forget, cross-reducing is going to make this a lot simpler. If you take a look at this example here, you have 7n here. I could divide by 7 here, and I could go, cross divide here, go down to 14 and divide that by 7. So now I've reduced this to a 1 and a 2. Both of these numbers can be divided by 3. This one, 3 goes in there 3 times. This one, 3 goes in there 4 times, leaving me an answer of 3n squared divided by 8, or 3n squared over 8. Isn't that simpler? Because 1 times 3, 4 times 2. So don't forget to cross reduce, and it just saves you a lot of time. All right, let's take a look at this one. Once again, we've got a negative times a negative, so we know our answer is going to be positive. Even number of negative symbols. But this one here, we have 25x times 4, and we have 3 times negative 5x. I'm sorry, negative 3 times negative 5x, when you think about these as fractions. So what I did was I just multiplied straight across. 25x times 4 would give me 100x, because the negatives cross out, give me a positive. And I've got 3 times 5x, I've got 15x. Now you could reduce from there. Again, I challenge you to go ahead and try to use cross-reducing. So here I can divide this number, 5 goes in there 5 times, and obviously 5 goes in there 1 time. So now I've got 5 times 4, and 3 times 1. Now I still have to deal with those x's. So what I end up with is 20x over 3x. Now I want you to imagine that x is 2. 20 times 2 and 3 times 2. Whatever you do to the top, you do to the bottom. That x, you can cross those x's out. It's common. It doesn't matter what x is. It's going to be the same fraction with or without the x, because x is the same. Again, put in 100. 20 times 100, 3 times 100. You've done the same to the top and the bottom. So we're going to cross the x's out, and we end up with 20 thirds. Now, at that point, we just have ourselves an improper fraction. We can reduce that to 6 2/3. So I've given you the couple of answers here to n and to m. I'd like you to try to work through them. Come see me in Math Club. We will work a few of them together. Again, this is a challenge activity, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks. Have a good night.